Hello, Charlie TCG here, and welcome back to my channel. Today, I want to talk about Lugia, the archetype that won the Champions League in Japan just a few weeks ago, as well as also a deck which is kind of keeping up to toe with Charizard to be one of the strongest decks for the post-rotation metagame. We're going to break down the results, the matchups, as well as also where I'm at right now with the deck, how powerful really is it, and looking ahead to see it's an archetype which you should be testing for EUIC and a big threat to the metagame as well. So without further ado, let's jump into exactly how it's been performing over in Asia. We can see outside of just the Champions League as well as City League, it's got done pretty well by getting 3 top 8s and 5 top 16s as well. Very, very powerful response. The City League is definitely averaging about 8.5%. Not as high as we're seeing like the likes of Charizard being 22%, but it is still very evenly, exactly always at 8.5%. And the wins are about 25, which is still pretty powerful, especially for an archetype, which I feel wasn't really acknowledged and for the first month of post rotation. It's a very easy deck to pilot. A lot of people have called it the 20-20-20, which means 20 Pokemon, 20 trainers, 20 energies. I think it's a very, very strong deck. I think it's incredibly powerful. There's somebody start to bring out your Archeops out. I know we've lost quite a few sort of toolkits like Professor Barnett, but having to use likes of Juck, Serena, Ultra Ball, Research, Read the Wind to try and get out those Archeops and discard piles so you can get that turn 2 summoning start. But Cinccino is an absolute powerhouse. For 5 energies, including if it has the double turbo, 330 damage, one hit KOing the likes of Charizard EX, which is very, very strong, especially as a single prize Pokemon. If we just look at the list, this is what I've been working with, and it's very, very similar to the list that won the Champions League, which is always a great way to start if you ever want to know about how to really find the post-rotation metagame. 3-3 Lugia, I think this is exactly how much you need, especially with all the search we have as well. Obviously, Read the Wind is an okay attack going second, but I much prefer, with my 4-3 split of Cinccino, a Call for Family. This gets you another Minccino, it gets you a Snorlax, it gets you that second Lugia V, and doesn't have a 2-price Pokemon in the active spot, especially after you going second. You don't want to give that easy prize raise to your opponent. You want to force them potentially have a 7-prize game. That's why I love having that Cinccino line. Like I mentioned, we play a 4-3 line because this is such a powerful one. The special bell to do that huge amount of damage capability is super, super nice. 4 Archeops because you kind of have to do that one because you want to optimize to try and get them in discard pile as much as possible. Like I mentioned, we've lost the likes of Quick Ball last rotation, like 2 rotations ago, and then this rotation coming up, we're losing Professor Barnett. So you have to play likes of Jacques, Ultra Ball, Serena, and even likes of Reader Win to try and get out of those Archeops as quickly in discard pile as possible. Yes, it can be a little bit more tricky, but we try our best as much as we can. Another attack we do play is 2 copies of Snorlax. Unfazed, that means it's not being affected by Sableye, but also doing 180 damage for a single prize Pokemon. It's also nothing to be snuffed about and can get some easy 2-prize Pokemon as well. And Fish as well, because Lumineon can get out that supporter card, which is just super, super powerful. You exactly need this in this deck, and you can get rid of it from the likes of Collapse Stadium. Our expert of choice is the Master Ball. This is a deck and card which a lot of people have kind of thought oh, it's not going to see its light of day. It's just going to be a reprint. But no, it's found its home in Lugia, and it is just that strong. Getting any one of your Pokemon, this can get your Arceus to discard. This can get your Minccino. This can get your Lugia. And unfortunately, it could also get your Fish, your Lumineon to try and get your supporter out. And the rest of the item cards, we play 2 Great Balls, 4 Ultra Ball, and 4 Capturing Aroma. You want to have as high a chance as possible to draw into those Arceus, draw into your pieces, because you're not playing an onboard draw factor. You only rely on the likes of some supporters. You want to get your setup as quickly as possible, so maximizing those out from the likes of your item cards is super strong. While you play 1 copy of Jack, some people do play the Azor, but I much prefer Jack in this one because not only can it search out your Cinccino and Archeops, it can also get your Lugia V-Star. Gaining a 2-prize Pokemon from a search from a supporter is very, very strong. Serena, because you do have that good discarding effect, so you can get rid of those Archeops in the discard part and draw some cards, and also it has a gusting effect as well. There are still quite a few V Pokemon like the likes of Arceus, Lumineon, Rotom, some very, very powerful V Pokemon are still running rampant in the metagame, so you do have that good gusting effect as well, as long as having 2 copies of Boss's Orders. And rounding up, we do play 2 Research to get that discard and refresh your hand, as well as also 3 copies of Iono. Having that disruptive capability while also refreshing your hand at the same time is really, really strong. Then our stadium card of choice is 2 copies of Collapse. This is definitely one of the most argued things. You can easily go down to maybe one of these and add a Mew to have another secondary attacking option, because Mew is still very, very strong in its metagame. So that's one thing you could really think about and capitalize going forward. Then the energies, yes, I like I mentioned before, we play a ton for double turbo, so you can easily power up a Cinccino as quick as possible. 4 copies of Gift Energy to have some onboard draw effect, 4 Jet Energy to help you disgust around many Pokemon, 3 copies of Mist, 1 Therapeutic, and 1 V-Guard. Very, very strong, very, very capable to really have that sort of effect going on there. Mist Energy makes sure that it likes of Giratina as well as Roy Moon can't one-hit kill your Lugia, Therapeutic, so it's nice to stay away, and Vigard, so all of a sudden, again, you can chuck that on a Lugia. It has effective 300 HP, can really slow down the Giratinas. I really like this list. I think it's a very, very strong archetype, and definitely something to be really consider about going into the next format. So if we just look at kind of its matchup wise, I would say it's pretty okay over the board. We can see again, it's still very, very even. Some of its favorite ones, I do think against the Arceus Vulpix, I do think it's going to be a threat to the metagame because of how powerful the likes of Charizard and Xianpao really are to the metagame. So I think you have a really good matchup into that one. Similar way how you have a good matchup into Lost Box as well as also Arctina, or the Ancient Box set, which I did manage to play quite a few games throughout there. And Ancient Boxing takes such a long time to get to that magic 280 damage. It can't really respond to Cinccino as well as possible. So I generally think that's why I think I put this down as a more favorable matchup. But it's also Gardevoir as well. Gardevoir is still trying to figure itself out. You can have Pokemon with huge amount of HP, which they can't really one-hit KO you, but they also have Screamtail, which can absolutely one-hit KO your Archeops from the bench. Definitely something to be considered about. The even matchups I think I like, so definitely Xianpao, Charizard, Roy Moon, as well as also Lost Box and Goldingo. All of these matchups, they have ways to really like force you to try and bring out the Cinccino as much as possible, which I think is definitely the best way to play the game. Don't want to have that 2-prize Pokemon in the active spot because all of these Pokemon can really capitalize on them. Think about the likes of the Xianpao and the Lost Box decks will be running the likes of either Iron Hands or Raikou, which can really help them in the prize rate to gain those 2 prizes on that Lugia. There's also Charizard has a ton of HP, so you want to be swinging into that with Cinccino. I do think it's a bit more of an even matchup, but definitely more than the even to favored in that sort of matchup ways. The unfair one is definitely the likes of the Turbo Iron Hands. We've played that deck. I definitely did that one, me and my friend, and honestly, it was a joke of how powerful Iron Hands really is into Lugia. You can just streamline attacks after attacks after attack, and it's very, very difficult for you to capitalize. Similar thing how I think Miraidon also is a pretty tough matchup. Yes, they can have like the Bravery Charm. Yes, I know Miraidon's still trying to figure itself out, but they have a Regieleki out in play, and they can one-hit KO Pokemon. They can chuck a Relicanth if you just really want to, and then use the Regieleki V's attacks to wolf some damage to effectively have like 410 HP, and you're hitting for weakness turn after turn after turn. Definitely starting to be a bit more worried about as well. Similar thing of Great Tusk. I think Great Tusk is a pretty poor matchup as well, because yes, Great Tusk can one-hit KO your Cinccino's back, but they have to draw through their deck very, very quickly, try and get set up. If they don't get set up, the deck can just Lugia can absolutely fall to fumbles, and Great Tusk can just wall through them and really help you help capitalize the threat. Similar thing as Control. I do think Control can be a little bit more unfavored. To put it like they can discard and like walk some Pokemon out there. Yes, I know you do play Jet Energy, but with no real good like drawing factors into the Jet, except for the likes of your Archeops with Primal Turbo on them. I think it definitely could be a little bit more of an even sort of factor, but I do think it's a little bit more unfavorable. I think Control is one of the best it's ever been in a metagame, and that's exactly why I put it down in the unfavored. Like I mentioned before, it's a pretty good matchup overall. Definitely in the even category, I'll get one of the strongest decks right now in the metagame, and definitely the more favorable ones are decks which you might not see a lot of, but definitely be prepared for the Turbo Iron Hands because it is a very abysmal matchup. So kind of looking forward, is this definitely one of the best post-rotation decks? Is it going to be the BTIF? I generally think it could be up there. We absolutely love Lugia out here in the West, and definitely in America, they love Lugia V-Star. So this could be an absolutely powerhouse over there in Japan. Does it need to respect Iron Hands more? Quite a few people talk about, should we run a Dunsparce in this deck? Well, you could run Dunsparce, and then they just go gust up the Dunsparce, take 2 prizes up from Thank you very much. And then they can carry on taking 2 prizes from Cinccino. They can completely ignore the Lugias and just go 2 prizer, 2 prizer, 2 prizer on the Cinccino. So definitely something you could respect, but it's not worth taking for because it's such a poor matchup. And with a simple gameplay, make it very easy to pick up. A lot of people are comparing it to exactly how powerful Lugia once was on its heyday when you had the amazing rares and how very much it was very autopilot and you could easily win that way. The answer is potentially yes. You do play another stage 1 Pokemon, which can be a little more tricky to set up. But honestly, I do think the deck is a very, very strong call, especially for EUIC and testing. That's why it's definitely up there in one of my top 5 decks for competitive play, full post-rotation. I think it definitely will be making a huge splash quite literally into EUIC, and definitely an archetype which I should be testing against a lot if you want to go to the event. So, hope this guide helps you kind of like talk about a little bit of my thoughts and feelings about Lugia V-Star, back to exactly why we play certain accounts. I think it is a very, very good pick going into EOIC and testing. I think Cinccino has really unlocked the deck to be much stronger. It was kind of like trying to figure itself out in the Paradox Rift format. People were thinking maybe we should go back to the colorless build or should we still go single strike? But no, this build right here is really solidified that Lugia is still here to stay and absolutely broken. So I hope you guys have enjoyed this video. If you have, please make sure to like, subscribe, and comment down below. What do you think of Lugia? Will you be picking it up, playing for EOIC, or will you be taking against it? My name is TCG, and I'll see you guys later. Bye for now.